Hey guys, a question that keeps coming up in Discord is how do you level up in Sunflower Land? And the way to level up in Sunflower Land is by eating food. And the main way to get food is by cooking it at one of the 5 buildings that you can make food at. The first one that you'll have when you start the game is the fire pit. But there are 4 others as well that you can get once you level up a bit: the bakery, the deli, the kitchen, and the smoothie shack. The deli will be super important once you hit level 16, but until you hit level 16, I would say focus mainly on the fire pit. You can get the other ones if you want, but mainly focus on the fire pit. So if we go over to SFL World, the best site in the world, we can go to the cooking tab, and if you go info cooking, we can go to this tab, and there's all the information about food and food prices and whatnot. And this information is updated at least daily, if not hourly or more, with the P2P prices. If you click on any of these columns, you can sort the columns by those respective columns. And the first column is just how much experience the food gives you by default. There are multipliers that you can get that will increase that. The second column is how much the ingredients cost if you're trading for them. The third column is how much experience you get per SFL spent. And the fourth column is how much experience would you get per day if you're cooking it all day long. If you sort by that column, it's usually magic mushroom foods that come up at the top, but you can basically ignore those because magic mushrooms can't be traded for and you'll only get them like once every day or two. You can also, if you're a new player, you can also ignore the ones that require cheese because you can't buy cheese. You can buy milk, and then at the deli you can make cheese with the milk. But like I said, you need to be level 16, and milk is expensive to get on your own. The main way you'll get milk is by buying it from other players who have a ton of barn boosts where they can like feed their cow profitably. So if we ignore the magic mushroom foods and the cheese foods, that will leave basically the rest of the foods. You can also maybe ignore the foods that use fish or use other foods in the food, like for example, cabbage and mash, because these numbers aren't exactly correct because you would need to subtract the amount of experience that you get for cabbage and mash. So like, sorry for mashed potatoes. So cabbage and mash gives you 250 experience, but it uses 10 mashed potatoes. So it uses 30 experience worth of food. So it only actually really gives you 220 experience. So these numbers aren't exactly representative of the correct number that you're actually getting. So like I said, you could focus on XP per day if that's your goal. But I usually focus on experience per SFL. Unless you're dumping a ton of money into the game, experience per SFL is the best thing to focus on. So at the fire pit, the best foods outside of the cheese foods and outside of the magic mushroom foods are rhubarb tart. Rhubarb tart is very good, but the problem is it has a super short cooking time of a minute. And so you would need to be making rhubarb tart. You'd need to be constantly like queuing up new rhubarb tart. It would just be kind of a pain. You could go with fried tofu. This one's much better. It has an hour and a half cooking time, so you wouldn't need to be clicking it nearly as much. It uses soybeans and sunflowers, so those are pretty easy to get. Another good option is reindeer carrots. This one is kind of like an in between. It's not as it's more expensive per SFL, or sorry, you get less experience per SFL than rhubarb tart, but it gives more experience per day than rhubarb tart or fried tofu, and it's a 5 minute cooking time, so it wouldn't be quite as burdensome as rhubarb tart. And you could basically do the same for every building. The kitchen here, for example, once again, I would mostly ignore the things that use mushrooms because you can't buy them. You ignore the thing that use cheese until you can make cheese. Magic mushroom here. I would ignore the fish stuff because some fish are hard to get. Once again, cheese can't really use. Fancy fries. Once again, fish and fancy fries is another food, so this experience number isn't quite accurate. Once again, horse mackerel is hard to get. Squid's hard to get. It's a fish. Roast veggies are another food, so this number won't exactly be accurate. And then we get down to fruit salad. Fruit salad is something that you can make. It's kind of expensive per SFL, but has a pretty good experience per day. And like I said, you could do this for all the different buildings that you can cook at, and to get a good idea of what the best foods are. Another factor, and this is only apply well, and part of it only applies later on, is that you could speed up your cooking. You could speed it up in two different ways. You could speed it up with straight up gems. You can see here, just speed up for gems. If you go to info constants and scroll down to the bottom, it will tell you how many gems it takes to speed up your food. And it's more the longer it is, obviously. And as you spend the gems throughout the day on food, it'll make these numbers go up. I'm not exactly sure how much they go up or the rates at which they go up, but just know that the more gems you spend on instant cooking in a day, it will be more expensive to keep doing it. And the other way to speed up cooking is with oil. You can add oil to buildings. If you scroll down, oh, that building is full. But you can add oil to buildings to speed up the cooking speed. The number here can be changed with different skills in the game. You go to skills, cooking. See, there's just a few different skills here. This one increases the cooking time for oil in the fire pit, oil in the deli, oil in the kitchen. I don't think there's one for the smoothie shack or the bakery, but you get the idea. And all these cooking skills are good. For a new player, I obviously wouldn't recommend the oil skills because you aren't going to have oil, but reduced cooking time in the kitchen and fire pit is good. Just more experience is good. All these things that increase your experience from foods and stuff are good. And the other factor in all of this is boosts. You can also get boosts which either A, reduce your cooking time, or B, increase the amount of experience you get. Let's see, where is the food and experience? Okay, so the Desert Gnome, you'll get this cooking speed boost once you get to Desert Island. Blossom Beard, you'll get this once you get to the second island, which I think we're calling Petal Paradise. And then there's NFTs, such as Skill Shrimp. If you're doing a bunch of fishing, this NFT is very good. Maneki Neko, this just gives you free food per day. It's not the best food, but Grain Grinder, this is super important once you start making cakes. The best food in the game right now is, or one of the best, is lemon cheesecake, and this will increase that experience by a lot. Observatory is just a great boost to have, 5% experience on everything. And then if you get to more expensive ones, the Golden Spatula is 10% experience, Pan is 25% experience, and Luna's Hat reduces the cooking time on everything by 50%. And with experience, they're multiplicative together. So you can multiply like your base amount by 5% and then another 10% and 25%. So like the more boosts you have, the better. Anyways, that's basically it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below or find me when I'm on Twitch and ask me there. Okay, have a good day, guys.